The 2020 Virtual Webster Arts Fair is brought to you by these sponsors.
I am motivated by people because I find them extremely interesting. There is so much going on the inside that we can't really tell. There's so many layers to personality. The body and the way it moves is an amazing thing. It's like this computer that knows what it needs to do and can do it without thinking. And I'm also very intrigued by body language, what gesture tells you about what's going on in a person's head, or what gesture and facial expressions don't tell you what's going on in a person's head. So yeah, there isn't anything about the human body, the thought process that doesn't intrigue me. My most recent series I've been calling my Finding Balance series. And I think, and I actually started this series long before the whole COVID-19 started, but I find it very interesting for myself and for my family. And so of course, everything I think we do as artists is sort of a reflection of how we view life in general. How to find a balance in my life, in all of our lives, between what we need for ourselves, what we need in our relationships, what we need in our community. So I've done my most recent work deals with how we find balance. My very first art fair I did was the Emerging Artist Program at St. Louis Art Fair, and I had a body of work that was figurative, but it had bugs on it. And because I am into gardening and into nature, I felt like bugs were a great visual representation of sort of the chaos that's going on in our brain, but maybe doesn't show on our face. And the pieces I had there either had hive texture with bees, or they had, some of them had ants with ant moms on them. And I got to sit back and watch the reactions, because my husband bugs are a love it or hate it thing. And people either thought they were completely creepy or, oh, that's really cool. And just to watch people do a double take and go, or oh, was great. All through high school, I took art classes every chance I got. Even when I went to college, every semester I took the art class that they would allow me to take, because it was something I always loved. The actuarial science was one of those experiences where just because you can doesn't mean you should. So I stopped and had children, and spent a lot of time. I taught preschool for a while. I helped my husband with accounting on our small business. I raised children. I volunteered. And when the kids got to be in high school, and of course I always found ways to be creative. Stitching, knitting, cooking, gardening. I was always looking for that outlet. And when my kids were in high school, I was thinking about what was next for me. And I turned to my husband and I said, I want to go back to school and get my BFA. And he went, oh, well, I planned on 2 children going to college, but maybe not my life.
Do you do custom work?
I do. I've done several commissions. And in fact, I have one underway now for somebody whose husband is a surgeon and wants to do something in memory of his 60th birthday that deals with healing and what he means to his patients.
So so much of the work is figurative. Did you study anatomy? Because it looks like you have a tremendous grasp of anatomy in your work.
I did not study anatomy, but I study a lot of books and images, and I, of course, took figure drawing in in college. And I grew up taking dance. I've always exercised. I do yoga now. I've always been fascinated with how the body moves and the muscles. And so it's just something that I'm interested in. And I'm continually looking and looking and looking.
Well, that sounds like you studied it. Where can people see your work and purchase your work?
So my website is lisahiltonart.com, and they can see my work there. And if they have any interest in a piece, my contact information is there, and they're feel free to reach out.
And you're a St. Louis artist, so the St. Louis purchasers can contact you directly, and there's no shipping charge. Do you ship your work abroad? Not abroad, but in other states?
I will ship and definitely will deliver, or whatever anybody feels safe with. And if anybody would happen to want to see some work in person, I'm sure I could set it up on my driveway and they could social distance gander.